Welcome everyone to a very, very, very special episode of the Theatre Thoughts podcast. I have a returning guest coming onto the podcast today who is a graduate of the Victorian College of the Arts. She's performed in the ensemble of Tick Tick Boom and Cruel Intentions, and she's now bringing the house down as Elphaba in Wicked. It's Sheridan Adams.
Hi.
Welcome.
Thank you.
And then we have a new guest, which I'm so excited to welcome onto the podcast, who graduated from the Queensland Conservatorium of Griffith University with a Bachelor of Musical Theatre. Most recently played Princess Anna in Disney's Frozen. Also performed as Catherine Howard in Six, the understudy for Princess Jasmine in Aladdin, and Sophie in Mamma Mia. And she was the 2018 finalist for the Rob Guest Endowment Award. It's Courtney Monsma.
Hi.
Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you for having me.
I'm so excited to talk to both of you about Wicked and also yourselves as well, because I find your careers and who you are as people just fascinating and really, I think it'll be a great addition to the podcast.
Thank you for having us.
Yeah, well, Sharon, you've been on before.
Yes.
And to have you in person is great.
It's also kind of funny, like last time, make sure I have my mic when I look at Courtney as well. The last time we spoke was pre-rehearsals.
Yes.
Wow.
Pre-everything,
Yeah.
so it's kind of like almost a different version of Sheridan. So it's kind of cute to be back after having opened the show.
Exactly. And how are you both feeling with the show being open?
I mean, I think obviously sorry, that was my chair. Can we redo that? That sounded like I farted really bad. Did you hear that?
I didn't hear that.
Not the Glinda chair.
Not the Glinda chair.
Oh,
I'm
no.
embarrassed. It's right. If you put that in there, that's fine. It feels really wonderful that the show is open now. I think we had a really extensive rehearsal process. So now that we're open and like living in this show, it's really such a blessing because it's such a good show and it's really nice to share it with Sydney.
Yeah, it's been very well received, as you would
Phew.
both know, you know. Thank you. I was saying to you before, like, I came on opening night. My mum hasn't stopped talking about it, and she was like, "Oh, are you meeting Elphaba and Glinda today?" I'm like, "Yes, I am, Mum." She goes, "Oh, make sure you say hi and tell me how good they were." I was like, "Yes, Mum, I will."
Tell her we said hi, please.
Yeah, that is it. And I said to Sheridan last time, it's actually my dad's favourite musical, which is the weirdest thing because he loves Glinda. And so, like, after the show, the first time it was here, he was like, Glinda, not Glinda. It was just like, I love that.
Also my favourite jokes on the show. I revolve around Galinda and Glinda, so it makes sense.
Yeah.
I
Good
connect with
taste.
your dad in that way.
Yeah, exactly. But I guess before we kind of get into things, I'd love for you guys to kind of chat about yourselves for a bit. Like, what's the best things to know about Courtney and Sheridan? What do we need to know? What are the, little tidbits?
Oh, it's nice to be asked that. I would say I'm like a massive weirdo. And I love performing and just like escaping with acting and playing roles. And I'm very grateful to be in the position that I'm in and get to play this amazing role. But I feel like a lot of what I do is part of who I am. So when people ask me who I am, I'm like, performing.
Yeah.
I'm obviously lots of other things, but it definitely defines a lot of who I am. And yeah.
Yeah.
That's such a beautiful, honest answer.
It's nice.
Thank you.
Things that are good to know about me. My favourite fun fact is that I can't whistle, so we can start there.
Really?
I know. I think it could be because I had braces, but let's be honest, I don't think I could whistle before I had braces either. Also, I think, as Courtney was saying, it's nice to find something that you really, really love, such as music theatre and acting, and then to be doing it professionally. It does feel like a huge bucket list ticking off.
Yeah.
And I identify that with that as well, so it's nice to be living it. I'm thinking about getting a dog.
Oh,
I want a
What
dog
type
too.
of dog?
Oh, probably maybe a Groodle.
Groodle?
Yeah,
Okay.
they're just so cute.
Yeah.
I love Taylor Swift and wombats.
So have you got
and
Taylor Swift tickets?
Cannot confirm nor deny.
Oh,
Cannot confirm nor deny.
interesting.
Very, very, very
I
exciting.
don't.
I really hope it'd be lovely. So huge Taylor Swift fan. I'm trying to think if there's anything else that's really important to know about
You
me.
know what? I actually was at the cinemas the other night, and the trailer for the Taylor Swift concert came on. And
There's
I
a
think
trailer?
there was like because they're doing the film version of it.
Yeah.
So if you don't have
yeah.
tickets, you can go watch it in cinema.
Oh, well, that's
And
lucky.
I sat there and I went, "All right, that looks pretty good." And I
Oh,
was like, yeah.
and it's nice that it's
Epic.
coming here too, because it was originally only for I think the US
Yeah.
market, but now
How
it's coming.
good.
The
Yeah,
show movie's coming to
Beyonce too,
Australia.
aren't they?
Yeah,
Good.
apparently she's going to record her concert as well. So
Really?
Yeah.
There you
They're
go. So
lucky.
you're in.
it's all
Yes.
happening. Yeah.
I'd love to do our 1 minute theatre thoughts, if you will. So, Sheridan, you're familiar with this.
Yes.
Some of your answers might have changed. I don't know. We'll wait and see. But essentially, they're just a whole bunch of different questions, which we'll ask in like roughly a minute. And then whatever comes off the top of your head is your answer. And then we'll go back and we'll pick apart some of your answers and go like, why'd you say that for? What's that answer? And so on, if you're open to it.
Cool.
Alrighty.
Sorry, do we want to do one at a time?
Yeah, we'll do one for
great,
one. So whoever wants to start.
You go first. I'm nervous.
So we'll go ask questions, Sheridan, then Courtney. Okay, here we go. What has been your favourite production you've seen recently?
Mine would be Miss Saigon. Because it also
Yes.
is quite recent. I think I saw it a couple weeks ago and I was just blown away.
At
It
the
was
Opera House,
beautiful.
yeah.
At the
Yeah.
Opera House.
I will also second that, but I'll also
Yes.
say I recently went to New York and I got to see some incredible performances, and I loved Sweeney Todd. I thought the set was
with, Josh Groban?
yes, with Josh Groban, and I just thought it was incredible.
Yeah, it's a good one. That was also at the Opera House as well.
Yeah,
Yeah, I actually drove when I was living in the UK with my friends. We wanted to see Miss Saigon, and we couldn't see it in London. It was in Manchester, and we drove there and back on a day. It was like 5 hours drive or something,
Worth
but
it.
it was so worth it. Name a play that left you speechless.
I wonder if my answer is still the same. Network with Bryan Cranston, which I saw in New York when I was there with university. So I think that was around 2019, I believe. And then Gloria comes to mind. Also, I saw that at MTC. Also when I was in third year in 2019. They hit me very, very hard.
Yeah.
And kind of made me realize that, I mean, I love music theatre and obviously want to do it for the rest of my life, but I also have a calling in doing straight plays as well. I just think some of the storytelling there and the drama I have not seen in the music theatre realm yet.
I haven't seen many plays, which is horrible, live at least. But if I was changing that to musical, if that's allowed,
Yes.
it would be when I saw Parade recently as
Oh,
well.
okay, right.
And I sat in the cubicle and I bawled my eyes out, and I had to, I think, wait 15 minutes at least until I could leave the theatre.
Right.
It was incredible.
That's insane.
Yeah, it really, I can't stop thinking about it.
Okay, I'll share my one after.
Yeah, please.
So, I guess this is a bit of a tough one, but what is a dream role you'd love to tackle?
For me, it's still Jenna and Waitress.
Yes.
Yeah.
We were talking about this before. I think a dream for me would be to originate a role. That would be a really cool experience, just to like be able to bring my own stuff to a new character.
Yeah, that's a great answer.
But yes.
What is your pre-show ritual?
Mine kind of begins as soon as I wake up now. So I wake up and I steam, and then I don't talk for half an hour, and then jump in the shower, kind of check in with my voice, have a little sing. The acoustics in the bathroom are just chef's kiss. I'll have some food. That's always kind of a staple of my morning and my day. And then when it comes to before the show, I don't have too much. I like to get in a little bit earlier, just set up my dressing room, and then I'm in the chair getting green, and I warm up while I get green. I chat to Jake, and I chat to Kate and Dee, my lovely green team. And then right before I go on, I do my warm-up and I sing The Wizard and I while Courtney is on stage in her bubble. Because I need to sing that. That song I find, funnily enough, quite tricky. It's
straight off the bat too.
It's straight off the bat.
Yeah.
And after a scene where you're doing a lot of yelling. So I just like to make sure it's all there in my voice, where I might need to kind of focus on if it's not there, and where I need to be a bit more technical for that show or that performance. I go out, I have a Gretas, and then I give Gareth a little fist bump before I go on as well. There's like lots of little things with people, but that's mostly my kind of daily ritual.
Interesting. I love that.
There's a lot.
Yeah, no, I think it's great. It's really interesting to see the insight that
For
different
sure.
actors do. Yeah.
I love a routine, like to the point where if my routine changes, I might be like freak out a little bit. It's just part of my brain.
Yeah.
So I always will get in, and I've done this for years now. We'll get into the theatre an hour before the hour call, and I'll do my makeup already. I'll sit there and do my makeup, and that's when I'll do like a slow kind of warm up. And then once my makeup's done, I'll do a nice stretch before our actual warm up, because in the theatre, like as a principal as well, after the hour, you know, you've got people coming in to preset your costumes, your mic's going on. There's not really that time for yourself. And I feel like I always need that alone time to just prepare to like socialize as well, not be around people. But similarly, like when you're performing that night, you think about it throughout the day, and I'll always wake up, and I don't enjoy drinking water, but I will just make myself drink water.
Interesting.
Yeah. So I just I often get, Gatorades, like the no sugar Gatorades, because they're really yummy, and that's my way I'll like intake water, because otherwise I'll be too dehydrated.
Do you drink lots of tea?
I do, but sounds really bad. Sometimes I'm too lazy to boil the kettle.
Fair
like
enough.
it takes
That's
too
fine.
long.
You've got a lot going on.
I
Yeah.
know,
You gotta
I
get in the
know.
bubble and get out
But I
there.
do love tea. I do love tea. So yeah, and with Glinda, it's straight off the bat as well. So
Yeah.
warming up.
I'm lucky that with our kettle at home, I drink a lot of tea as well in my ritual. But it like boils to a certain temperature. So I understand, like, if you have a kettle that goes to 100, you got to wait, and then you got to
So
pour it
long.
out,
I
and
need
then
to
you
get
got to
one
wait
of
for it to
those.
cool
So
down.
technical, isn't it?
I get it. I get
It's
it.
hard life.
Hard life.
And the last question was, which production would you most want to see come to Australia?
I said American Psycho last time, and I still stand by
yes.
it. But funnily enough, I do love Parade, and I would love. I know that's come again recently, but I would love to see it on the larger scale that I'm
Yeah.
sure Courtney would have seen on Broadway. I'm trying to think. I think that is my answer for now.
I would say Dear Evan Hansen, but it's just been announced that it
been
is, which is
announced.
really exciting, and I
Yes.
cannot wait to go watch it because similarly, that was an experience that I won't forget. And I was sitting next to a gorgeous boy and his mum watching the show, and every time Evan did something, he would grab his mum, and I just was watching that, and it just made me cry. So I was like, it's
Aw.
really special, I think.
That's really nice.
Yeah, it was
I
really
was really excited
gorgeous.
when that was announced.
Me
'cause It's
too.
like it's been on everyone's sort of list, and it's like, oh, good, if that can come, that means like something like Hades Down can come. And I'm
Yes.
Yeah.
like, fingers crossed.
Yet to
Also,
see.
Beetlejuice coming.
Oh,
Yeah.
so
That's
excited.
that also would be my answer, and alas, it is also coming. So that's
Yes.
It's like that year of Broadway shows all kind of starting to
Yeah.
come now. Yeah.
And it'll be lucky for you because recently announced you guys are going to Melbourne,
Woohoo!
which is great. So and you'll be very special because you are from Melbourne.
Yeah,
Yes.
and I saw it at the Regent Theatre for the first time. That's where I saw
Right.
Wicked for the first time. So
Wow.
Yeah.
the fact
So
that I
going
get
back
to
there.
perform on that stage is wild.
Incredible.
Yeah.
Well, I want to jump back to some of your answers that you had. So I want to talk about Parade for a sec. So what was it about Parade that was so just captivating?
I think, and it's this gorgeous element of being overseas and seeing the performances. They're so nuanced and it's so real. And I think it was very authentically cast, which I think was super important for that story. The story itself is just heartbreaking, and the portrayals by the actors were just like out of this world. I was witnessing it. Like every single person on the stage was so invested in the story, and it reminded me how important that is.
Yeah.
And it just felt so real, like those cries that you can't hold
Right,
in.
yeah.
And I also hadn't seen the show before, or I didn't know the story. So finding that out was really sad.
Yeah.
What, you mentioned
It
you're
was,
okay?
I don't know. Like
I love that because I saw Cabaret when I was on the West End, and I love Cabaret, but I never I knew it was like something around World War II, and,
Yes.
Nazi Germany, but I didn't know what fully was about. So
Yeah.
as you see it slowly unpack and unveil, and I was just like, it's like I was getting scared more and more and more as it was going along.
Yeah.
But that was one of the best productions I've seen in
Yeah.
recent years, just because of the staging. It had this tube in the bottom that everyone like came out of, and I was just like, I loved every minute of it. It was so,
so
good.
dark and yeah.
Oh, it's incredible. So good. What do I want to ask? Oh, I wanted to ask about your play that you chose. Now, you said the one with Bryan Cranston.
Yeah,
Yes.
Network.
Network.
Yeah, I saw
Yes.
that in 2019, I believe. And similar to what you both were saying, I didn't know Network. I didn't know the storyline. And it's very rare for me to go see something, especially in music theatre, that I don't already know.
Yeah.
So I went in blind. And it's based on the film that was written and filmed in the 70s, I believe.
Right, okay.
And it's about just media coverage and sensationalism and capitalism. And it's about this man who's a journalist, a news anchor, and he kind of becomes this kind of messiah figure.
Oh, right.
And it was all filmed via like film TV cameras. And
Yeah,
it had screens in
cool.
the background. So you had Bryan Cranston just filling the stage in the theatre with his performance, but
He's
also
incredible.
the nuances of his performance up on the screens. And I mean, spoiler alert, I'm going to spoil it. So if you don't want to hear the end of Network, the play, don't listen anymore for this point. But at the very end, someone ran through the audience with a gun and shoots him.
Oh, wow.
And he is dying. It's Bryan Cranston dying. So like, obviously he's a film TV actor. He knows like just the reality of it
Yeah,
hitting you.
right.
Like Courtney said, it feels like you're there and it's actually happening. And so blood is pouring out of his mouth and people like are rushing, trying to save him. Obviously
Crazy.
all fake, all acting.
Yeah, all acting, yeah.
But I had the shakes. And that was how it ended.
Oh gosh.
And I just,
no
it's-
closure.
Yeah, no,
Yeah.
but just like,
Oh, I
I
hate that.
can't believe that just happened.
It's like bread.
And it was similar to Gloria as well. Again, spoiler for Gloria. But Gloria is a play about an office shooting.
Okay.
I went in, I had no idea.
Oh,
The first
gosh.
half is this like tongue-in-cheek, like kind of office comedy.
Yeah.
And then at the end of Act 1, everyone just in front of your eyes. And then the Act 2 is all about the beautiful, well, not beautiful aftermath, but tells the story beautifully about the aftermath and how people sensationalize trauma. And again, another play about media, which I wanted to be a journalist, so
Oh, did you?
seeing a
There you
thread
go.
there. And both of those, I just had no idea that things like that could be trade on a stage like that and really touch an audience and affect an audience in such a visceral way.
Well, the reason I wanted to ask was because I'm interested in whether you think going blind into a show makes like for more visceral experiences than going into something that you know what to expect.
I think there's arguments for both, but I think, for example, having some knowledge of, even with our show Wicked, the knowledge of the Wizard of Oz gives you that like light bulb, and you feel like you know the piece even more. But then there's also a kind of a wonderful thing of introducing someone to a world at the same time.
Yeah.
But it's like the same thing as people coming back to the same show 30 times in a row.
Exactly.
And it's just this extra special thing, because I think when you get to know something, it feels like it's yours a little bit.
Yeah,
yeah.
that's great. I think you're right, because like the Wizard of Oz kind of gives you that extra depth. Like in the second act, when Dorothy starts coming into the background, and you hear little things like when you're like, "Oh, I stole my shoes, damn girl."
Yeah.
And so people love that. Because
Yeah.
like, oh, I've always
know
thought
that.
Yeah, and it's that recognition, isn't it?
Seeing
Yeah.
how it's kind of interwoven, yeah. I think some of the best theatre experiences I've ever had are when I had no idea what was going to happen. And I think with a show like Wicked too, it is funny, you're balancing people that have expectations and have an idea of what the show is, which is incredible. But I also really welcome people who've come and who've never seen it and are not necessarily Wicked fans yet, and introducing them to that world. And it's so lovely because they come in and there's no sense of, oh, I wanted Wicked to be like this. They just come in and they're like, that was one of the best things I've ever seen. And it feels really special to be able to chat with those kind of people at stage door as well.
That's
and
so nice.
because I remember seeing it for the first time. And I think the beautiful thing about Wicked, though, is when you listen to the soundtrack, you don't necessarily know what happens.
Yes, yeah, you're just
And-
listening to the music,
yeah,
aren't
and
you? It's not
Stephen
like
Sch-
one of
yeah.
the plot ones.
Yeah,
And
for
Stephen
sure.
Schwartz has taken music out so that you aren't spoiled when you go see it.
Oh.
And there aren't many musicals that do that. So I think, hey, even if you love the soundtrack, you will probably still get a visceral response that
Exactly.
you weren't expecting.
That's great.
Yeah.
Okay, we're going to take a quick ad break and then we'll talk about